All right. Speaking of old cool things, in this case, this old cool thing might actually be coming back. Saber Interactive and their to date troubled to say the least remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, another gem from the original Xbox, which I reviewed for OXM back in the day. That remake is reportedly still in development, and as a bonus, it sounds like a KOTOR 2 remake with all of the originally intended end content, might be on the way too. So this latest update comes from a GameFile report, which pulls from court documents related to a false advertising lawsuit launched against Saber's Aspire Media, as well as Lucasfilm back in 2023. Recently filed records related to the suit, which involved the cancellation of the Restored Content Modification, or RCM, for the Nintendo Switch KOTOR 2 re-release, appear to contain both updates for the KOTOR remake as well as mentions of a mysterious project known as Juliet. Attorney Ray Kim prodded for details about what Project Juliet was during the deposition of Lucasfilm Games Vice President Douglas Riley. The Star Wars company VP's response left little room for ambiguity. He said, under oath, quote, Juliet was the code name for a project where we were going to do a full remake of KOTOR 2 with modern art, modern gameplay, keep the story and the characters and the general content of KOTOR 2, but remake it for modern hardware and modern machines with updated graphics and all those kinds of things. It was something we were discussing with Aspire, end quote. Now, as for that long-lost cut content from KOTOR 2, Riley clarified that, quote, the plan was we would remake the content that was in the RCM as it relates to Star Wars in that Juliet project, end quote. Whether or not the KOTOR 2 remake remains in development is hazy for now, with Riley's last update saying that Juliet was, quote, technically on the roadmap as of March of this year. So should Saber continue development, it seems the plan is for a reimagined version of the entire experience, even that cut content from the end of the game that Obsidian originally intended to put in there in the final version. Many other details on the supposed KOTOR 2 remake remain a mystery, but the good news is that Riley says, quote, we're starting with the remake of KOTOR 1, clarifying that, quote, Aspire isn't working on those games, end quote. Instead, the KOTOR remake is said to now be in the hands of the team behind Hellraiser Revival at Mad Head Games. So let's just start with Michael here. Thoughts on this, and then there's some follow-up we can talk about on as far as who Mad Head Games is. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, man, I don't know about this one. Like, I think part of it is also, this sort of reverence that we have, I think, and especially me have for Knights of the Old Republic as a formative game. I've talked about it many, many times on this podcast about how that was one of the marquee Xbox games when I was growing up, but also was an extension of my RPG tastes and was the thing that got me into Star Wars as a whole. And it's one of those things, like, I don't necessarily trust the hands that it is in right now, especially with how it's been juggled between Aspire and Saber, and just like, we keep hearing about it and nothing really to show, but they keep talking about it, and it doesn't feel like it is being handled with the kind of care that you should expect from a remake of a game of this caliber. And it just feels like it's being tossed around and not treated well, I guess. And I don't know if I would necessarily need a remake of it. And maybe I would enjoy it. Maybe it would be kind of this nice middle ground between what it originally was and what it can be today. But I also have a lot of hesitation because I think the gameplay systems of an RPG like that are still, I think they've aged really well. At least from a mechanical standpoint.
Yeah.
It uses, Dungeons and Dragons rule sets. It still has those tactical considerations. It might not look or flow in a way that you would expect from a modern game, but if you're an RPG sicko, if you play games like Baldur's Gate, and things like that. This is OG BioWare. This is where Mass Effect kind of was born out of. And so I think all those systems are still really great. And I don't think I need those systems to be remade. I don't know if I need modernizations. When I think about when some development teams think about what a modernized version of a classic looks like, I kind of wince and I have a little bit of hesitation. Like, no, I don't know if that spells like streamlining to me and like reconfiguring an original vision in a way that I'm just like not a fan of. Like, you're losing the sauce, and not to be like an old curmudgeon about it, but it's
go ahead, be an old curmudgeon. It's fine.
You can't change these things. You can't take the old stuff and then like change it and make you and think it's better because it's more modern and more palatable to a modern audience that didn't play it before. Like, nah, man, play old games. Old games still have a lot of value. They're still great. And I think Knights of the Republic is one of those examples.
Although I think the footage we're seeing right now is actually from the Old Republic, not from Knights of the Old Republic.
But don't sleep on the Old Republic. Old Republic is actually really
MMO,
good.
Very different thing, but yes, also very good. I hear you though. Like, this isn't like when Square announced that it was going to, with its own internal talent, remake Final Fantasy VII. You probably felt a lot better about the chances of that than you're feeling right now about this KOTOR thing with Saber. Yeah,
because like with Final Fantasy VII, it's all the OGs coming together for like, doing it's like you brought all the old heads out. It's like the you sign a contract with like all the future Hall of Famers who are kind of washed up, but like this Square obviously is not washed up. But I think in the process of something like 7 remake series is that you have the OGs, the old guard, guiding new talent in the process of remaking those games. So they have the creative intentions of the original creators and the sensibilities of a new age of talent. Whereas something like this is like, there's what's BioWare's involvement. Like the original BioWare developers, they're not involved in this. Like, Obsidian's not going to be involved in a 2 remake either. It's it's going to become its own thing. And I don't want to be dismissive of it like before we even see something from it, but it just, that's just kind of, we've been conditioned to think of this and be like, nah, I don't know about that.
So what you're saying is we need Saber to just sell this whole project, transfer it to Microsoft, and let Obsidian do both remakes is what you're selling. That's what you're saying.
Man, I don't know about selling things to Xbox more, but I will make an exception. I will make an exception for that.
Collaboration.
Well, but Obsidian we would trust to do this, right?
Oh, yeah,
like
absolutely.
Not just because they originally made KOTOR 2, so they would also do KOTOR 1 justice, I think. And they have Unreal Engine, like they have a technology base where they could pull this off.
Bro, stop,
I'm
man.
sorry.
Don't tease me with things that are never going to happen.
Miranda, how about you? KOTOR Remake Aspire is out of the picture, which I think is pretty good, but it's still Saber, and who the heck is Madhead Games? Their game hasn't even shipped yet, which is Hellraiser Revival. I watched the trailer. It looks okay. It's not like, wow, that's gorgeous. So where are you with this?
Looking at Madhead Games for trailer for Hellraiser Revival and the last game they did, which launched 2 years ago, called Scars Above. It's weird to say, but their games already look kind of dated. I think it's that they're trying to do that like higher fidelity, but the animations aren't quite there. So like facial expressions and other things look really clunky. Like movement is a little weird in some scenes, or at least in the trailers that I saw. And that's just the trailers, right? That's what you expect to look the best. And that's not to say that this team can't do a good job with what they're doing, but at the same time, I think when you're looking for a really cool remake of something that people love, you don't want to start looking visually old, right? Like at that point, like why bother?
That's already screwed Ubisoft when they showed the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake for the first time, and everybody was like, yikes, what is this?
Yeah, and then that's the hard thing, right? Because Hellraiser might not be the most safe work to show here, but Wait, was this the one that was behind like weird? You have to like sign off, and like there was like content warnings at Gamescom for this one. I think I might have been this one.
I don't even remember, but I'm sure you're right.
Okay, yeah, there was a Hellraiser game, and probably was this one, where I don't know of any other Hellraiser games in progress, but yeah, there was just like very like, hey, just so you know, because it's Hellraiser. But like it's again, it's not to like slight this team or that these games can't be fun or interesting. It's just when you do have something that's, you know, as big as Star Wars, you kind of expect the money to be flowing there, and it does not seem like that is the case. And it's just kind of like, Lucas, what are you doing? This is Star Wars. You guys got Disney money. Like, what do y'all think? You got Star Wars money, you know? Yeah, like forget that. So I think that's just what's a little confusing to me. But of course, when people have the rights to things, they, you know, have what they have for it. And we'll see what they can do. Maybe this is just something that like kind of really helps Mad Head become a cool name among gamers. Maybe.
Yeah, I think
I don't know about that, but you never know, you know?
You're hitting the nail on the head for me, Miranda, because it's, as you said, the scope of KOTOR, we're talking about a 40+ hour role-playing game where you visit several planets. Like it's not a small game. It wasn't then, and it wouldn't be if it came back. And so, yeah, you need like, there's a level of fidelity you expect. There's a level of like technical prowess you'd expect. Like it looked, my memory of it is that it looked perfectly good in 2003. Like not like Mass Effect in 2007, or it was like, wow, this visually is, holy crap, this looks incredible. And then it played incredible too, and had all the depth that you'd want. But yeah, you've got to bring it. Like you've got to bring the budget, as you're saying, to this project. And it's not that Saber doesn't have money. I mean, they're part of that whole Embracer Group thing, and they've spent billions of dollars on acquiring various IPs and studios. But yeah, like there's nothing, as you're pointing out, nothing in about really either of these studios involved, be it Saber or be it Mad Head Games, that suggests that they are ready, willing, able, and know how to use a big budget if it's there. So we'll see. I mean, I would say KOTOR, I've probably said one of these two things on the podcast before, and that is, I've probably said that KOTOR 1 is my favorite role-playing game ever, and I've probably said that Mass Effect 1 is my favorite role-playing game ever, because they're kind of 1A and 1B for me. And they're obviously both the exact same team, not even just BioWare, but the same team at BioWare. And KOTOR for me, having reviewed it, and I was just like soaked, just immersing myself in that for 40+ hours to do the review back in the day. I'd never played anything like that before, where it fully embraced light side, dark side. Of course, I played the whole thing dark side.
Of course you did.
You could actually like triple cross people in that game, where you'd like, you'd go to double cross somebody, but then you double cross that guy that you're double crossing. It's just, and then, yeah, like I said, it's got, you know, you're on like 4, 5, 6 planets in that game. The story, even though it's been 20+ years, I won't even ruin it for you. I'll just say it's one of the best stories I've ever experienced in a game before. Mm-hmm. I'm not optimistic on this. And the other thing I guess I'll point out to wrap this up is originally this KOTOR 1 remake was announced as a PS5 exclusive. Sony threw money at it, I guess. And so I wonder if that contract, like, is that still the case? If it is, it's probably a timed exclusive. So if it did ever come out, we'd eventually get it on Xbox. But if it's gonna be a PlayStation exclusive, I'd feel a lot better if Bluepoint were doing this, because they have the track record of remaking things really, really well. Like that's a studio I would have more faith in, but still all TBD. But at least there is there is some indication here, courtesy of legal documents, that suggest that KOTOR 1 Remake is still happening and that KOTOR 2 Remake with restored content might actually be a thing one day also. Thanks for checking out this clip from Unlocked, IGN's weekly Xbox show. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to watch the full episode at youtube.com/IGN Games. New episodes of Unlocked drop every Thursday on IGN Games, IGN.com, and your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.